Hi, welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and today I'm taking a look at the Studio Series Gamer Edition number 2 Barricade from War For Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron. I don't remember. I think Barricade was in Fall of Cybertron specifically. But here, honestly, this was, out of the first wave, the one I was most excited about. It is the one that arrived to me first. And here we have a deluxe class Barricade. I love this design in the game. I thought the design in the game was maybe a bit more muted in colors. And I think based on this background, we can kind of see that, like, that this was the era of brown third-person shooters, as we like to say. But it has been lovingly rendered in what I'd say are vibrant, contrasting grays and blacks in toy form. It's also a surprisingly big deluxe. We get a nice purple Decepticon logo on the front, some cool metallic paint where, I guess, you know, the Fall of Cybertron thing, War For Cybertron thing was they didn't really have cockpits for these figures since they didn't need to, like, they weren't in disguise, they were just on Cybertron. He's got a cool cow catcher, but he's clearly like a fast, sporty speed demon of a vehicle. There are some things in the molding maybe I would have preferred. Maybe if these mushroom pegs had been hidden, especially this one in the back where it's the gray against the black, this one hides a little better. We do have some really cool detail painted in like a super alien looking like quadruple exhaust ports. And then with this like centerpiece, you know, we've got some nice yellow and purple accents here, but I think I could have done with a bit more of these accent colors, especially on the back. This, as it is, this is a figure I'd probably get toy hacks for. Put in like those purple rims, put in that like bright, you know, the Fall of Cybertron colors, like in the exhaust, that sort of stuff. But it still looks pretty good, and it rolls just fine. Like I said, it is a big deluxe. It barely fits on the stand. The only other figure I have to compare it to is Fall of Cybertron Jazz. So here we can see them next to each other. And I mean, Barricade looks massive next to Jazz. I really, really hope we get another Jazz figure. I'd love to get this design updated a little bit with modern construction. And yeah, you know, from the bottom, like, most of the robot is hidden pretty well. I think he looks pretty good. In fact, let's compare him to other Barricades. So here is my Bayverse Barricade. This has been the Barricade in my collection up till now. We can see the two different inspirations of the character, obviously. This one definitely drew more from like the G1 Barricade, where it's not much to do with a police car or the anti-prowl or any of that stuff. In fact, here is, I don't have that Barricade anymore, but here we can see how they look together. That's the thing that I think is, I'm wondering, like, looking at this, I kind of wish Barricade might have been a little on the smaller side in vehicle mode. It's just massive, massive here. But, you know, it is nice to just get a big old toy for 25 bucks. So, in terms of transformation, it is pretty straightforward. We're going to start by pulling his gun off. It's got a square peg that goes into that port right there. And then we're going to come in and we're going to separate this back end here. We got to kind of wiggle things a little bit. There we go. It slides out and wiggles out, and you'll see how much of a shell former this is at this point. There is a tab on the inside here that we want to also get loose, and that will collapse. This whole thing will collapse in on itself like so. You can see the peg on his back goes into the port right here, like so. Then we can separate out the arms, bringing those up on either side. Coming in on the bottom half here, we can take what is like the fake cockpit, the you know, whatever you want to call it, bring that all the way down, and you'll see there are two slots here and two tabs here. That just collapses down, and then you can separate out the legs, turn the waist around, and now we can flip out his feet on either side and flip up the wheel well. The forward wheel well here comes up, and you can see there's again a slot here that this tabs into pretty nicely. At least I thought it did. There we go. Same thing on this side, coming around, like so. And the very last thing is flip these arms 180. Open it up. It doesn't open up as far as I'd like, but we can flip out our hands, and they need to get spun around. Same thing on this side. Flip it, and then get your fingernail in there, pull out that hand, flip it around. And here is Barricade in his robot mode. Let's get them all stood up. And I'd say appearance-wise, he looks pretty darn good. There is clearly kibble on here, and it is probably the biggest thing about the figure is that the kibble just gets in the way of mobility. But starting out, let's just take a look at that head sculpt, which is a lovely head sculpt. I really like their like odd-shaped eyes when they do that. The same thing was on, I think it was like Combiner Wars Mirage, kind of look like that. I really like it. Again, the black and gray with yellow eyes looks really, really good, and it has enough tilt and wiggle in there so you can get some personality in there. The arms do go out that far before the wheel gets in the way. They could 360. You just got to get around the backpack, which again is a little unfortunate. They've got this much wiggle in the shoulder. There is a bicep swivel, but again, this flap here just gets a little bit in the way, and you can't really get a 90-degree bend here, which is unfortunate. The wrists, they have wrist articulation that's a ball joint here, but I really don't like that this panel here covers up the wrist. I wish that wasn't the case. The hips don't go out very far at all, which is unfortunate. It's not even really the kibble getting away, it's the way the ball joints are cut. They need a little more material cut out of them to get more flexibility. We can go that far, so not 90 degrees, which is, again, a little unfortunate. And then we don't have ankle tilt, which is, to me, as far as I remember, it's like the first time this has happened in a long time that we don't have ankle tilt. Now, we have big, wide feet, but it is a surprising step back in terms of articulation on the figure. Which again is my biggest complaint. I think he looks fine. I mean, he's a little kibbly in certain areas, the hips and the backpack, but that is, you know, it's hard to get the car design into as svelte a figure as Barricade was in robot mode. So I forgive that. I just wish it didn't impact the articulation as much as it did. Every step of him, even the head, like I said, it was pretty articulated, but the head is like just a little tight. Every step of the way just feels like the figure's fighting you to get into the dynamic posing you want him to do. Oh yeah, we'll talk about my next biggest complaint. Aside from articulation. Articulation, I really is, like, posability is important to me, but you can pull off his right arm, and there's a socket here to put in his gun, and you can take his arm and you can put it on his back, and I really, really don't like this. I think this is a huge shame. I don't like it. I don't think it looks good. It makes his gun look too small. I felt like in the game their arms turned into guns. I don't know why the decision was made to do this instead of, when you fold the hand back, give this some sort of clip so this gun could clip on. This looks so much better to me, this positioning, like getting him out here so he's firing his gun, hopefully. Right, we can't twist too far. There we go. Getting his gun out here so he can fire it off. That looks like a way better Fall of Cybertron gun, or, you know, something, you know, clipping on there or something. That looks better than... This just looks like puny to me, is my complaint here. But other than that, I mean, I dig the figure. I think there's a lot of nostalgia for me in the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron games. That's kind of when I was getting back into Transformers. And I've always liked Barricade as a character, as a, like, the different iterations of him. This is currently my favorite iteration, my favorite toy design of Barricade. but it is unfortunately limited. It is not a figure I would recommend, especially I think the expectations people have from Studio Series. This does not live up to the expectations of Studio Series to me. But it's still a fun toy, and I think if you could find it on sale for like 15 bucks, I'd recommend it. As is, even though I like it and I'm keeping it, I don't think I really recommend him. I think the last thing is, let's just do some comparisons. I think the obvious one is against Jazz here from Fall of Cybertron. And you can see in robot mode, they're not like, their size isn't that far apart. It's just so much of his mass is on his back that makes his vehicle mode so big. But despite that, I mean, I'd love an update of Fall of Cybertron Jazz. If they did it similar to Barricade, I mean, this guy's just kind of a loose little dude at this point. I'd probably end up picking that up. The other one is, of course, my current Barricade, and this is the figure that I think is going to be the giveaway for today. So, if you haven't entered one of my giveaways before, it's pretty simple. If you want to win this Barricade, the Dark of the Moon Barricade, which honestly is definitely a design that like I used to like, and now I don't feel as strongly about it. I could see myself one day replacing this Barricade with, like, if they did a really good evergreen design, or maybe it was the Last Night Barricade, like that kind of more humanoid Barricade with the police body and stuff I'd be more interested in. But I think my question of the day is, which version of Barricade has been your personal favorite? Did you like the Michael Bay version? Did you like the original trilogy version, or the Last Night version, or the Fall of Cybertron version, or the IDW comic version? As far as characters, I think the IDW comic version is my favorite version of Barricade, but I do like this design a lot. So if you haven't entered a giveaway before, you go down in the comments below, you answer the question of the day, say you want to enter the giveaway, and then 1 week from today in my next review video, we will announce the winner, and then you reach out to me, and I will get him packed up and sent to you as soon as possible. That's it for today's video. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day, everybody. Bye!